This is good stuff. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is I, Dwayne Anthony, your GBF, and I'm here hanging out with my friend Ross. Say hello, Ross.
Hello, how is everybody?
Everybody's answering. Up and moving. Everybody's up and moving. Me, myself, and I are moving. My older son is moving. He is in the process of moving out, which, as much as it pains me that he is leaving the nest, finally, I will have a recording studio again. So, this is something to look forward to in the very near future. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I don't have any children leaving the house, so
I don't have children.
I don't have any of that trauma. Well, they've already left, if they'd ever existed. Yeah, no, I don't have to deal with any of that. Yeah, my life is pretty stable in that regard. I don't have people coming and going. Yeah, things are pretty normal here. In a country that doesn't have any seasons, things are constantly the same.
Well, for a person who lives in a state that barely has any seasons, it is still summer here.
True.
I believe it was like 92 degrees today and sunny.
Wow.
Here in Florida.
Okay.
Mid-October.
Okay. And you went out in it?
I went out in it. I went to Magic Kingdom today in Walt Disney World just to see their decorations, and they were celebrating the 50th anniversary. I will say, as much of a Disney fan as I am, or I can be, I was not impressed. The merchandise was not there for me. It just wasn't a thing. The castle show at night, I wanted to leave halfway through just to beat the monorail traffic. I don't know, it just wasn't there for me for some reason. Have you seen anything about it yet?
I've seen lots of negative responses to lots of things. But yeah,
specifically about the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, being a bit lackluster and not being amazing, and stuff about the shows, and people just walking away being really disappointed.
Yes, and there were fistfights over merchandise on October.
Oh, I saw some of that. That's terrible.
Crazy. I mean, I wanted that shirt. I don't know why that bastard got in my way, but whatever. It's the only way I can go viral. Then so be it. No.
Are you visiting that woman in the hospital?
Jeez, No, she got what she deserved. No, I looked at all the merchandise and I was like, no, just not interested. And then they had 150 new foods throughout Walt Disney World celebrating the 50th anniversary. And there was a handful of them in the Magic Kingdom that I really wanted to check out because I have been on a very strict eating schedule until this weekend. And this weekend I was like, this is my weekend off. I start back up tomorrow, Monday. But I was going to enjoy myself in the Magic Kingdom trying these new things. And the first thing I wanted, it just didn't appeal to me when I got there. I am a huge fan of popcorn. And they have this
you are corny.
Popcorn. Excuse you?
You are corny, so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, actually, this sounds really interesting. Make your own popcorn. You've got to do the work?
I'm a huge fan of popcorn, and they had this make your own popcorn mix, and I didn't know exactly what it was, other than you pick your popcorn, you pick the sauce or dressing you want on it, and what candies you want to go inside of it, and that's what you get.
Oh.
Now, being a fan of movie theater style popcorn, I thought I would enjoy this. I went there, I looked, it was just unappealing. It wasn't the popcorn that you would get in the movie theater. It wasn't that kind of a kernel. It was like the big round balled popcorn, the type you would get pre-made in a tin
Yep.
for the holidays. I guess because it stays fresher, or you can't tell when it goes stale. I have no idea, but it's more like circus peanuts. You know what I mean? Like, or like packing peanuts. That's what it was like. And then with the sauces or dressings you got to choose were dark chocolate, milk chocolate, or white chocolate. Where's the caramel? Like, but I mean, the 3 types of popcorn you got to choose from was butter, cheddar, or caramel. And it just didn't seem to go. Like, who's getting cheddar popcorn with chocolate? I mean, I've eaten some weird stuff in my day, but
yeah,
I don't see that going anywhere.
So did you only get to choose one type of popcorn? Like, what happened?
I believe so. Okay. Because that's how it was like, choose your popcorn, choose your sauce, and choose 2 candies to go in it. And the candies were things like M&M's, pieces of Reese's, pieces of Snickers bar or Oreo cookie, and I'm like, I just don't see that appealing. It was very gimmicky.
This is a bit like the ice cream store. Snack. What's that ice cream store where they sing at you and do
Cold
that
Stone Creamery?
That's it.
The ones that do this? Yes. Is that what you were? Yeah. The creamery. The cream. That's how they get the cream.
That's what they do. And they sing. Is that normal that they sing, or is it just the one that I went to?
When you get a tip. When they get tipped, I believe
they sing.
They sing for you.
Okay, because I've only been once, and it was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah,
but I remember.
It's like, if you tip them, they do a little song and dance for you.
Wow. What? If only I'd known not to tip. No, it was kind of a fun experience, but that's what this popcorn sounds to me like. It's like, choose all this crap you want to mix up together, and
I can't imagine it tasting good either.
Yeah. So you just walked past. You just
and you're
said,
paying
no, I'm not
money
doing
for
that.
this.
Yeah. This is the problem.
It was very gimmicky. And then they had a hot dog that was supposed to be this big deal that I wanted to try because it seemed so out of place. It really was. It was an all beef hot dog with a bacon strawberry jam on it, and funnel cake and powdered sugar on a hot dog.
Where did the funnel cake go?
On top of everything. So it was like broken up pieces of funnel cake.
Oh, okay.
But so I got it.
They stick a big round
it with
piece on the top.
So those little
chunks,
crunchy, broken off. Okay. I shared this with someone because I really didn't think I would want the whole thing anyway. It was just, oh my gosh, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a disappointment as well because I didn't taste the bacon and the strawberry jam. The strawberry jam was cold. And I didn't know if it was supposed to be or not because it was on a hot dog. And the funnel cake pieces weren't like anything but the leftover crusty bits that are left over after you've made a couple of funnel cakes. And you know the stuff that you scrape off to throw away? I think that's what they put on top of the hot dog. And I don't know if it was just a bad experience on my end or this is what they're selling. And it's another gimmicky thing. It just put a whole bunch of crap together and charge for it and see if you like it. See if it's
it's good. It's making use of everything, which is probably something that we as a united world need to do more of. But I suppose charging you, how much was it?
It was $11.99 for the hot dog.
Yeah, so that's probably look, the nostalgia factor of the fact that it was part of the original batch of hot dogs from 50 years ago, I think is a nice thing too. Like, that sounds...
I'm sure it was. As a matter of fact, you're probably right. That's what
They've
made
just been in storage for 50 years. So that's a kind of a nice thing, nice throwback.
And I do have some pictures. I did take a picture of that hot dog, and it was just weird. one of the things that I do enjoy going to the Magic Kingdom for is not the turkey leg, but it's the Mickey soft pretzel that they sell. Now, the Mickey soft pretzel is truly a soft, doughy pretzel. There's salt on it. You get what some people call the plastic cheese.
Plastic cheese.
Warm. Yeah. So Mark and I decided we were going to go get that since we shared the hot dog and we walked around a bit. And we were like, all right, well, let's at least get the pretzel. And the pretzel was different. It was like they got a whole new different type of pretzel. It was darker, not as puffy. It was more of a hard pretzel than it was like a soft pretzel. And I picked it up and it was served in a paper wrapper, like one of those wax paper wrappers that you would have a sandwich in. And I took it, put it at the table, and I had to peel off the wrapper because it was literally stuck to the pretzel. You know, like that never happened.
That's weird.
I wound up returning it and going, no, this isn't okay because you're paying $7 for a pretzel. Which I'm okay with spending if it's the one that I'm expecting.
It's good.
Yeah. And it wasn't. So there was that. And I did want to get this sundae that they had there. It's called Uncle Orville's Hot Fudge Sundae, which was your typical brownie sundae that they normally sell. But I wanted to get it because it came in a plastic, like a frosted or a clear plastic old-fashioned tub from the ride that Uncle Orville is in, Carousel of Progress. So it's one of those old 50s tubs. And I thought that'd be amazing for my new recording studio to have up there and put stuff in it. And they were out of those. So I didn't get that. So it was just disappointment after disappointment for me. I didn't go on any rides because I was too busy looking for a pretzel that actually tasted good. It was just the show I wanted to leave in the middle of. It was just not okay for us.
The fireworks?
Yeah. The fireworks themselves were fine. The story I could not get involved in. Like, it just didn't draw me in. And there's this light mapping that they're doing on all the buildings down Main Street now. Sounds great, but you have to be far away to see it and enjoy it. If you're right there in the middle of the street and looking up at it, you see a bunch of colors on the walls and on the storefronts outside, and you may be able to pick out something that's going on, but you won't be able to see the actual full picture unless you're like all the way down Main Street, up on the train tracks up there at the train station, looking down and seeing the big picture. If you weren't doing that, you were kind of missing out on so much. And again, the storyline, there weren't any real like Disney songs that I could relate to. It was supposed to be this big feel-good moment that I just didn't feel. Like, it didn't invoke any feelings other than, like, I want to get out of here. There's going to be a lot of people going to the monorail. I just want to go. But I stayed for the whole thing, which means I had to wait like 45 minutes to an hour to get to the actual monorail to get back to my car. And it was just a disappointment. And I'm normally not that person. You know what I mean? Like, I was going with the full intention of very simple things. Whether the hot dog sucked or not, I wanted to try it. Like, I looked at the popcorn. I decided I didn't want to do that. The pretzel was a big disappointment, though. So, at the end of the day, it was like, okay. Yeah, it was almost like a waste of an evening. I'm glad I did it, and this way I know next time what to not do or leave before the fireworks show.
Lower your expectations.
You know? Yeah. Lower my expectations before I go. Know what I'm going there for, and know what I'm not going there for.
That's
I expect it to be wow.
It's a shame. Yeah, well, so, look, I would too. I think one of the things that I've noticed people commenting on is just the lack of quality in being creative, which is what people have come to love and spend a lot of money on, because it's always been expensive.
Yes.
But you seem to walk away feeling that you got some value. But when that
enough value that you're
reduced,
willing to go back next year.
Yeah, exactly.
And spend it all over again.
Yeah. Question though, because you have got a pumpkin on your shoulder.
Yes. Yes.
And Halloween is coming. He is on your shoulder. It's better than a chip on your shoulder, I suppose. But probably a bit heavier. Were the Halloween decorations competing with the 50th anniversary decorations? Like, what was going on there?
It had Halloween decorations, but minimal.
Okay.
So yes, I would think that they were kind of competing with it, because everything seemed to be that dark blue, like that, not even like a royal, maybe it was a royal deep blue, and this pinkish purple iridescent color. That's what the two colors were, which kind of clashes with orange, with the pumpkins up on the streetlights and stuff. So yeah, I mean, a little bit. So if you were going for one or the other, you kind of were, yes, muddled. Everything kind of got muddled together. So yeah.
Did they have any Halloween food? Like, was there any food for Halloween, or it was just? I didn't see any.
Honestly, I mean, I think everything got put on the back burner for that, for the 50th, starting October 1st. But in the Starbucks, they had the Christmas mug already. So they were already celebrating Christmas in Starbucks. Like, it was one big, I don't know what we're doing. But they were a little bipolar, I guess you could say. It was just all over the place. You really had to look. Now, they were celebrating Boo Bash tonight. And so the park closed a little early so they could do their nighttime after-hours event for where kids and adults got to go trick-or-treating, and they paid $130 or more per person to spend 3 extra hours in the Magic Kingdom to get candy. And so that was going on tonight, and they're not doing a castle stage show for it. They're not doing a real parade for it this year. So really, it's you're getting candy, and there's like a couple of rides open. I don't know what $130 plus tax per person will get you, but it's sold out tonight.
Okay. But I think that's one of the big important points, that people are still paying, and they know that people will pay, and that's what unfortunately happens with the market. That people keep paying. The company will keep doing the same thing. They're not going to change anything. Right. Why would they? If they can do things cheaper and earn more money out of it, they're just going to continue to do so.
And give you less
sad,
product.
But true. Yeah.
And give you less product. Really because, I've been to the original, the Nikki's Not So Scary Halloween party, like 2 or 3 years now. And it was under $80 a person, which, yes, it's kind of a lot, but you got to do special meet and greets with photos with certain characters that you normally wouldn't that would normally not be out. There was a parade that happened 2 or 3 times during the night. There would be a stage show on the castle with the Sanderson sisters. So from Hocus Pocus, they didn't have any of that, and that's what you're paying for. That's what I would be paying for: an extra parade, extra fireworks show that you can't see unless you were there. But I don't know. But for more money,
I think that's the thing that's getting most people. It costs a lot of money, a lot more than it used to. You're getting a lot less for it. it doesn't add up. Look, I'll be honest. I haven't been to Disney World during Halloween. I've only been to. I think I might have been to Disneyland during Halloween.
But you look like a pumpkin. I don't understand. I thought you'd be a big fan.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
And what am I going to say? You look like a turnip, which is originally what the vegetable was. So that makes more sense. It wasn't actually a pumpkin; it was a turnip. So you're doing better than me. But in Tokyo, in Japan, at Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea, they do Halloween, and they do it really well. I've been there during Halloween time more than once. And it's pretty fantastic. I think the one memorable food thing that I can remember is getting a black hot dog. So the bun itself is just black. And I think the hot dog itself was kind of normal, but like black and orange, like orange mustard and, that kind of, those kind of contrasting colors and stuff. That was pretty cool. But they also always had, lots of kind of pumpkin flavored things and weird looking stuff. It's not, they never got as gory as they do at Universal, because I know Universal does, pretty, what I would call gross looking food. You can get a thing like a soup with eyeballs floating in it and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't get that bad at Tokyo Disneyland, but they definitely are inventive. And I really like that. I think that's a lot of fun. And, but again, you kind of see value in that. People are lining up. People line up for popcorn at Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea as well, just for not plain popcorn, but flavored popcorn. And you can only get a specific flavor in a specific area. And you can smell that popcorn in that area. And it's a kind of nice kind of thing. And I kind of understand it there. I don't understand the way popcorn's done anywhere else, because I don't really go into popcorn, but
it's not an experience anywhere else.
No,
it's just a way to get people to buy more drinks because it's so salty.
Exactly. And you go to a bar and they give you the popcorn for free.
Well, I don't know. Here they don't.
Really?
Well, you get salted nuts or peanuts or whatever, something salty, yes.
Yeah.
We never got really the whole popcorn bit, but,
Okay.
Now, being that you're where you are and where you're from, what's Halloween like over there?
Doesn't exist.
Is it just like Thanksgiving? It just doesn't happen?
Oh, no, it's worse than that. No. No, Thanksgiving is definitely nothing to anybody here in Singapore or in Australia, unless you are
anywhere outside the United States.
Yeah, unless you've got like an American heritage, and I've got some friends who obviously have been living, some friends in Australia, and they celebrate Thanksgiving, and I've been involved in that, but generally no, we just. It's not a thing that even exists, so it doesn't happen. But Halloween, it's a funny thing in Australia. I can't really comment on what happens here in Singapore. Like we recognize it to the point where, like, cinemas will show some really good cult kind of vampire movies and stuff on Halloween, and people get into that kind of stuff. And sometimes you will see kind of people promoting some Halloweenish kind of food and trying to get into the spirit a little bit here in Singapore, which I think is fine. And it's fun. And it's very isolated, though. It's just around the proper date of Halloween. It's not a month or 2 months.
You mean it's not 3 months long?
No.
Once something becomes a Hallmark holiday, you celebrate it 4 months out of the year. There's like the prepping and... Yeah, here it was July, everybody was talking about Halloween. In August, things started for Halloween. And it's going to keep going until November 1st, where it just jumps on a broom and goes away. Like, on November 1st, it's like it never existed.
Yeah, the exception here in Singapore, and I think it really is the exception, is Universal Studios. here in Singapore used to have horror nights up until before the pandemic. Horror nights, and it was a really big thing here. It was really popular. It used to sell out on the weekend nights and stuff like that. And it was very good. It was really well done. I would say it was nearly as good as Japan in Osaka. But no one beats what they do in Japan because they're crazy. They're insane. They love being scared to death, and they happily do that. Yeah, it was really intense. But talk about value for money. I don't think anyone could walk away saying they didn't feel they got value for money out of that. But here in
if I
here
have
in
to
Singapore,
buy new underwear, it was worth the price of admission.
Exactly. That's how you layer it.
See, I like horror movies. I grew up with the traditional Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, Freddy was my man. I never got into others. Like, Friday the 13th wasn't my thing. Halloween wasn't my thing. Scary Movie wasn't my thing. Like, it really was all about Freddy Krueger. Like,
so you just had a thing for him.
Yes. I had a thing for not being able to sleep growing up, and I thought someone could relate to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I had pretty bad insomnia growing up, and I would have nightmares. So he just spoke to me. Like, me and him were like this.
He spoke to you in your dreams? Is that how it worked?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I loved his sarcastic sense of humor. Like, he was the villain that everybody wound up starting to root for by the third movie. By the third movie, he was the kind of guy, the villain everybody loved. Yeah. But I cannot. Was
the third movie the gay one?
No, it was the second one.
The second one, okay.
The second one, the big homo one, yeah. Actually, I will link it down below. We have to link this because my friend Logan did a whole video about how homoerotic Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 was, and he goes into like a college thesis version of how gay it was, and it was just
because it is. It's really gay.
Oh
it's
my
really
gosh.
Gay.
That's when I knew,
kind of shocking to think of, and to think some of the people associated with it didn't realize what they were doing, which I think is the funniest part of it. They had no idea, but it was, it's very gay. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's definitely, it's more gay than scary.
Yes.
That's for sure, and that's definitely saying something.
But I don't like.
Look, does Freddy still appear at Horror Nights? Is there still stuff around? No. Okay, because I think
he was there one year, I believe.
Okay,
and he was in the one in Hollywood as well when the Freddy vs. Jason movie came out. I think they had a house.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, me neither. Yes, I did. I did see it in a movie. All right. The only reason why I saw it was because Robert Englund played Freddy Krueger in it.
Okay, you were true to heart of the whole thing.
Because there was two movies, I think, that Robert Englund didn't play Freddy Krueger, and it was just horrible. There was like the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street from like 2009 or 2010. I did try to watch it, and there's a picture going around. There's like this meme of Robert Englund holding up a sign that says like the 2010 movie sucked because he wasn't in it. It really was bad. It really was.
It's really funny, but I must say I've not seen it, but I've watched. Like a clip show that talks about it. And every time they show it, I just sort of get major confusion about who that character is supposed to be, because he was the character. And I think when you have the other big horror franchises that have the whole mask thing, you don't have to have a particular person behind that mask. It always just, Jason looks like Jason, and what's the other guy? Michael
Halloween
Myers
Michael?
looks like Michael. Yeah, he always looks like him. You know, this whole it doesn't really matter who's behind it because their face doesn't really count for too much. But with Freddy Krueger, it really did. Like his face was there. He
had prosthetics. It wasn't. A mask.
Exactly. It was him with some stuff on top, and you could really tell that it was him. So when it's not him, it looks just wrong. And it just doesn't feel right. I know that's a weird thing to say, but we want our old Freddy back.
Yes. So I would watch that, but I cannot do the whole in real life, like get scared. I don't do haunted mazes. I don't do haunted houses. I have tried. I embarrass myself. I have gotten wet out of my eyes and out of my pants. Like it just was it's not fun. It's fun for everyone else, don't get me wrong. Like having me scream at nothing because I'm expecting something to happen is funny for everyone, but not for me. Like, I don't know, I just can't. But I can't do it. I won't spend the money to do it.
I'm not hugely into it, although I'm really excited to see the creativity that goes into it. So I do want to go in there, but half of me doesn't want to go in there.
I have a friend whose job it is to like do the aesthetics part of some of the houses, and she does it for places in haunts in Pennsylvania, and I think she's done some in Florida, and her name is Katie, and she's coming down to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando soon, so we're hoping to hang out. But yeah, it's amazing because she does the make everything look weathered and old and creepy by painting it, and she does a lot of haunts all throughout the United States for that, and which is great. So being able to have a conversation with her about that stuff is great. The artistic part behind it, I agree with you, is amazing. The creativity it takes to have something go from your mind to real life is great. I just think they do such a good job sometimes that it looks too real for me, and I can't handle it.
Yeah, look, there was one here in Singapore a couple of years ago that I did get to experience, and I remember it. Like there was this sort of alien thing, and like egg pods, and it was, you know, when I say realistic. It's like I don't know what's real for an alien egg pod or whatever, but the whole thing was far too immersive. It just felt like it was all possible, and it felt like you were there. So I know that's something that's missing right now because it's not running. You can go to Universal and you can take photos with some villain characters, and you can have a meal with eyeballs in it. And I think that's about. They've got like a museum, a Horror Nights museum, where they've probably got bits of sets and props and photos and stuff. But that's about it. Like the event itself, as we knew it, is just not happening right now. Hopefully, by next year it can come back. But actually, a question for you: do you know that Disney also did do haunted houses? Do you ever? I don't ever recall that.
Did not know that.
Yeah, because it was only in Hong Kong.
Cartoons.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of blackness around what Disney does. Disney does lots of dark themes, and so in Japan, there was a very, very dark and scary kind of walkthrough of the Black Cauldron, which lasted for quite a long time. And the dragon is still there. I think you can still see the dragon, which is a huge, big animatronic dragon. But that was probably the darkest thing that Disney had in an actual ride. But in Hong Kong, Disneyland, they often had, at Halloween time, had haunted houses. And they weren't as scary as what you would get at Universal, as a comparison, but they weren't
more like the Haunted Mansion, where just kind of little.
It was a lot more than that. It was a lot more than that. Yeah, they were on a high level intensity for Disney, something that you would not expect to see in a normal Disney park. And people jumping out and scaring you, and horrible scenes of things, and things that were kind of irky and disgusting. And yeah, that was what was happening in Hong Kong Disneyland. So again, I don't think that's come back because of the pandemic, but who knows whether that will return, whether, the US parks will see that as a thing that can be done there. There's a tolerance level of what people expect. I don't know, but I always thought it was really well done. But not something I want to live my life going to a haunted house as a general thing.
Guess not.
I don't like it.
Did you dress up and go trick-or-treating in Australia as a child? Was that a thing?
God, no. No. Nothing of the sort.
No, I think people go begging for food?
No. Yeah, it's like, no. That's just a weird thing about it. Why would you ask for, strangers for sugar, and then the risk of getting, a razor blade in an apple and all of that kind of stuff. So,
that's like an old wives' tale, right?
But that's what we heard, and that probably was a way to deflect us if anyone ever suggested it. But look, I think certain neighborhoods tried, like a street would get together and try and do it, but it was a very isolated thing. And I don't know if it's become something. Never anywhere I've lived in Australia had it become something, but who knows? Anything's possible.
So you've never dressed up and pretended to be someone else one night a year?
Not just for one night.
In October?
Not specifically, no.
No? Okay. That seems to be a big thing growing up, at least my childhood. Where I lived, we had where you would, plan for a whole month, like what you were going to be that one night a year. And you go out and ask people for food.
Yeah, well, see, why would you want to show your face and beg for food at the same time?
Well, that's why you wear a mask
to cover it up. Yeah,
you're not showing your face.
Just cover it up.
So we
give me food.
So we did that, and it was just you would walk around the neighborhoods, and there would always be these warnings. The razor blade and apples, the don't eat anything if it was unwrapped. Or homemade, if you didn't know the person specifically, don't go into a stranger's house. There was just all these rules about it, which I guess made it kind of terrifying and fun. It was like risky. But we did something in New Jersey that a lot of places in the United States didn't even do. You might have heard of it. You might not have heard of it. Have you heard of mischief nights?
No.
No, a lot of people don't.
This sounds like it should be in a horror film.
Right? So Mischief Night is the night before Halloween. All of the kids, like teenagers, would go around, and this is when you TP houses, like throw toilet paper all over them. This is where you egg people in houses, and you would, put soap on their car windows, and just a whole bunch of mischievous things that you would do.
This sounds like New Jersey.
It was fun, and I think it was more of a felony. But
yeah,
it all depends. I was from Jersey. I was from the hood.
Exactly. It sounds just like what would happen in New Jersey.
So, and then what some people would do is they would put baby powder in a sock and hit you with it, so you'd get powder all over you. But one of the things that have happened in one of the neighborhoods that I used to frequent would be there would be these teenagers that were in the high rises, and they would fill water balloons with Nair, and they would just, as kids were walking home from school, they would drop the water balloons filled with Nair on top of the heads of children. Now, you do know what Nair is.
It's a hair removal product.
Yes. So they would drop the Nair on kids' heads, and there would be several kids who wouldn't be able to rinse it out quick enough. Yeah.
What is wrong? So this is just a thing that happens in New Jersey.
I think there are other parts of the United States that do it, but majority of the people that I've talked to, like down here, they have no idea what that is.
Okay.
In Florida.
So if you could provide a list, that would be really helpful of places not to go.
Where you're not going?
Yeah, you just want to
This is
avoid
not to
these
visit
places.
in-
Yeah.
It's just something else.
I've not heard of this.
Well, if you were to beg for candy, what kind of candy would you beg for?
Well, I wouldn't beg. I'd just go out and buy it myself. But
I think that's why I'm in the predicament that I'm in right now. Because growing up, we didn't go out to eat. Like, if we were to have something like fast food or eat out of the house, eat away from the house and get takeout, it was a very special occasion.
Yeah.
Or, something had to have been going on. Probably I can count just over on one hand the amount of times a year we would get something from outside the house to eat.
Okay.
And so when I got my first job and moved out of the house, I thought it was like a big adult, screw you, look what I can afford to do, hit up the McDonald's because I can afford to. And I don't know if I want to get, a fish sandwich or a chicken sandwich, so I'll just get both because I can afford to do that.
So when you say hit up the McDonald's, you mean you go there and buy things, not sawn off shotgun,
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
You're from Jersey. I have to ask.
I know, right? After Michigan,
and that disguise is not going to help. People would still know it was you. That's still going to be a problem. Yeah. No, we didn't. So I think if you talk about, I think on your last senior day of school kind of thing, depends on exactly where you are, kids would do terrible things, but I think they would just do it to their teachers and keep it within the school.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was kind of a bit organized.
Cut day, they would just disappear on the teachers. They wouldn't do anything to them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
they would play tricks on them?
Yeah.
Is it like senior pranks? Is that because I've heard of that in movies?
Okay.
Like the senior school
so.
prank?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like take somebody's car. Like, so this man, he was very nice. He was his science teacher. Actually, I don't even remember his name. But he used to drive. He was a big man. He was quite, rotund. And he was very kind-hearted man. But he used to drive this little orange Beetle, like a very small car for such a big man. Like, it just seemed really odd that he was in this. But I think a few years before, I was sort of midway through high school when this happened. They took his car and put it on the roof of a building. Because it didn't take much effort.
In the movie. Are you sure?
Yeah, that happened
in real life.
That happened. It was kind of funny. It wasn't a very tall building. Like, it was kind of easy to kind of get to. But they just basically, you got enough people to lift it, and they lifted it and put it on the building. And it was kind of funny. But he took it. He took it so well because he was just such a nice man. And people did. It was funny because you would think that sounds like you're taking advantage of him. That was nothing compared to some of the horrible things people used to do. Just not care in class, when he was actually a very smart man who could be very helpful to you. As a science teacher, I liked him, but people would just play up because he was never stern. He was never angry. They thought they could get away with it, but the only thing they got away with was a lack of an education. So good luck to them. But no, I remember that happening. I remember that happening with the car.
Where are they now?
Well,
where they are now?
They're begging for food.
Disguising. They're running out disguising themselves, and no one can see who they are, so they get begged for candy. That's right.
Exactly.
Full circle, baby.
And do you know what? I love I love Bob's Burgers is a show that I really, really love. And they always do a Halloween special. And a lot of the times the Halloween special is just about the drive for the kids to get the best, haul of stuff back, and their desire and and like one year they hook up with this guy who's got a map of all of the people who give good stuff and the best stuff, and where do you have to go for that, who to avoid.
We're talking Halloween candy?
Yeah, it's
okay.
It's like he's got it all mapped out. These don't go to this one, don't go to, like, just don't waste your time. And yeah, they get a bit delayed on the way, so it doesn't really happen. But there's always a Halloween special, and I really love that. I feel there's kind of a connection to that, although it was not part of my life. As a kid, we just didn't have anything to do with that. So there you go. I know, what a shame. But now
did you have the classic specials on TV, like It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown?
Yeah, so I think we did see all of that. It kind of came, that was the wave of stuff that came before the Christmas stuff. So the same. Okay. So you had all of that to kind of look forward to in the year, and then
so you get to watch it and think, crazy Americans.
Thing. Exactly. We just went, oh well, that's a fun thing that exists nowhere, but just on television, and you see it in movies, and you think, oh, this is not really real either. Kind of like how Freddy Krueger isn't real. It was kind of like a scene of kids going trick or treating was just like, well, that's just made up for Hollywood.
Right.
It took a while for me to realize that it actually did happen.
That people really were stupid enough. Crazy. Partook in the traditions of Halloween begging. Trick or treating.
Well, then, and then, you watch, because true crime is such a huge thing for people now as well. People are so consumed with true crime, and there's like amongst, isn't it the most top rated podcasts are all about true crime, and everyone's so into true crime. And that's where I learned about the guy that killed his kids and some of their friends with is it pixie sticks? Is that, he put cyanide in the pixie sticks?
Sugar in the straw?
Yeah. So he put cyanide or something in that, basically to kill his children, but he ended up killing some other kids as well. So that's kind of where one of these kind of urban legends about the pixie stick murderer, he was actually just trying to kill his own kids. It was very bizarre and very horrible.
Very innocent.
But, well,
very harmless for everyone.
He was using Halloween to cover what he wanted to do. He just used that event as a way. So it's not like, oh, there's someone waiting for Halloween to poison all the kids. That wasn't his intention. He just wanted to kill his own. And he was using Halloween as an easy way to do it, to say someone else gave the kids the poison stuff. Okay. And yeah, I'm sure you can look it up and there's more information there if anybody wants to find out about it. It's fun.
And there is a huge market for true crime stuff. However, I am kind of naive about things. I admit that. Like, I don't watch the latest TV shows. I listen to what other people say about it, and I kind of move on. And I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I'll watch that. And it usually doesn't happen. But there is that number one Netflix show that's happening right now, about in South Korea. Squid Game, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Squid Game. I have not watched it. However, I had a very interesting conversation with my kid about it, because my older kid said, hey, you should do a YouTube video about this, because it's like the number one Netflix show by day 2. It was crazy. And he explained to me what it was. And then my 20-year-old did the exact same thing, explained to me what it was. And people online would do a meme, and they would reference Squid Game, but there were never any real pictures of it. So the way it was described to me was, there are these very, very highly in debt South Korean people, and there would be someone out there that would find out that they owed all this money, and they would go up to them and say, hey, and they'd test the waters. They would test the waters a little bit and go, well, if you hit this person, I'll give you $200 to see how desperate they were. And they would do it. So then they were invited to this big game of where it'd be 400 people, and they had to do all these things. It was based off of free will because they weren't being forced to do it. They were doing it out of being desperate of needing the money because they owed mafia money. They owed like huge school like debt from like universities or whatever, and they wouldn't be able to live their lives anymore. If they would never get out of debt any other way. So what that likened to me, it opened up the door of thinking, oh, well, that's such a weird, immoral thing, and how I learned how it's really not legal to do that in South Korea. So I'm wondering, because it's like I was told it was dubbed over in English really poorly, like those games where you have the Asian people jumping over things over water for money, and you would hear the dubbing happen. And do you know what I'm talking about at all? The dubbing,
yeah,
where they would.
I do because yeah.
And I can't remember what it was called, but there were games like that on TV from overseas, and they would just ad lib from it, and it was just kind of funny. So I was thinking, oh, well, this also kind of reminds me of when really, really rich families had rich kids who had all this money, and for fun and entertainment, they would find homeless people and pay them to box each other. And they would all like, almost like cockfighting, but with homeless people. Right? So This is where I've gone in my head from being told what Squid Game was to this. And I'm like, wow, I don't think I can ever watch that because morally, I don't know if I can handle that. And then I learned something the other day. My 20-year-old said to me, you know it's not real, right? Like, they actually just shoot them with lasers and kill them. Like, what? I really thought it was like a reality game show that they did in South Korea that they would never be able to do in America. So they were playing it in America. So it, like,
okay,
game over.
Okay. The first thing I think you need to realize is that boxing of the homeless people was probably something that started in New Jersey.
And that's why
it sounds about right. It sounds about right to me. But so, okay, I've seen Squid Game. I watched it, and I normally don't watch a series of anything. I don't really get into much stuff like that's why I love, and I think we've discussed this before about Gogglebox, which is a show in the UK and a show in Australia where you watch people watching television. Friends. Yeah, because I don't want to watch the whole thing. I just want to get the essence from these people. Look, and if it is really good, I'll go and watch it. So occasionally I have watched shows that I've been interested in because I've seen people talking about them on Gogglebox and I've seen a bit of it and I've gone, yeah, it's really good. Or I've not watched something for the exact same reason because they've watched it and depending on who was saying it was really good or really bad, I've gone, yeah, if you liked it, I'm not going to like it. So I don't bother. But Squid Game, for some reason, I was just a bit fascinated by it because of the hype, because everyone was just so into it, and it was so popular. So I did watch it, and I watched it first. I've watched it twice, so that's another thing that I've got to disclose, and that's something that doesn't usually happen to me. But I've ended up watching it twice because I first watched it with the dubbed voices, the audio dub, because I was sort of not really watching it. I was trying to do something else. I'd be doing other things at the same time. So I kind of casually watched it with the dubbed voices. And a lot of that was bizarre in itself. It was like, well, why does this character who is who is, South Korean and in his, 30s sound American, but the old guy here sounds Asian of some kind of extraction. Like, why do, like, I didn't understand. Bits and pieces didn't make much sense. And then, so after I'd watched it, I then read some things where people were saying that there was some problems with the dub and both the captions. So there's two versions of the subtitles. There was one that was released as a closed caption, that was sort of legally required, sort of came out first. But its translation wasn't very good, and it still didn't really match the true intent of what was going on. And that was the problem with the dub. So some characters seem more annoying than they really were, because the voice that was dubbing them and the words that were used in the dub were just really annoying, and you just go, oh, go away. But when you listen to it, in Korean and you read the subtitles, you go, oh, actually, that person is kind of reasonable. Still a bit crazy, like you'd have to be for this whole thing. But it was really interesting, the differences between watching it with the dub voices and then watching it again, reading the subtitles. Obviously, you have to invest more time because you have to sit there and watch the whole thing, which I don't always do. I do that in the cinema. That's why I like to go to the cinema and sit there and engage. But if I'm watching something else at home, I won't always, be completely looking at the screen. But yeah, my advice, if you haven't watched it, is to watch it and watch it with the subtitles. Make sure you're seeing the right version of the subtitles. And I don't know how you do that. Well, I think it is, but I think it's worth it. If you're going to put the time in to do it, I would do it. And it's a very interesting concept. And yes, your son is right. It's not real. The whole thing is a fantasy. It's just like Freddy Krueger. Some people might think it's all possible, and look, in some parallel universe, it probably is. And there are probably some places in the world where something similar does happen. It's not a far distance to go from the boxing, boxing hobos. That's what they used to call it, wasn't it? That kind of concept to this is not very far. I don't think I don't think we've progressed very much. And it's a very sad kind of thing to think about, but yeah, it's all a fantasy. So go and watch it. It's like when you look in the mirror and you've put some makeup on. It's like, that's a fantasy. It's not true. The real you is still under there.
Somewhere. So full circle now. Do you know what the number one Halloween costume is going to be this year? It's already been announced.
Oh, isn't it just the tracksuit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah,
yes.
Like the simple tracksuit the contestants wear from Squid Game.
And the face mask of the play button and the Xbox. No, PlayStation. It's like the PlayStation buttons. It's like a triangle, a box, and a circle.
Yeah.
What the hell?
So,
I think I might have to watch it just to now that I know it's not real.
Yeah. So
but I can't believe for weeks I thought it was real.
Yeah, so the soldier kind of characters, the people that corral the contestants, wear this very basic uniform with a hood, and their face is covered with a mesh guard. And depending on their rank, they have either the triangle, the square, or the circle. So yeah, that's a bit harder to pull off. I think that the simple tracksuit with the number, because everyone just has the same tracksuit with the number on it. But funnily enough, there was a Chinese athlete that's been accused of taking the fame of Squid Game and using it to his own advantage, because he's got a very similar styled tracksuit that he's been seen training in. And they think that he's doing that to take the success of this popular thing and, get obviously more visibility. I don't know if that's true, but I thought that was a very strange article to read, and why you would want to align yourself as an elite athlete with being a contestant in a game for desperate people. I think it's a stretch, but people will complain about anything, and people will accuse people of anything. So yes. I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. But
me neither.
You should go out and get one of those tracksuits. Actually, it's probably very difficult to get one of these tracksuits. You probably have to make your own.
Probably. Yeah, I would like to watch it first, maybe, before I would get a tracksuit. But I think this year I'm going to stick to my original costume. I have the Nightmare on Elm Street sweater and the fedora that he wore. And I could just walk around being that crazy
And scare
old
people.
man. Yeah. Be the old man and do that. All right.
Actually, you remind me more. You remind me more of the old man out of Pet Sematary.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. Is it you give me those kind of vibes? I don't think you'd have to do much to pull that off. I think you could do that kind of well.
Well, on that note, I mean, I'm glad you don't have to dress up for Halloween, or
I'm already a pumpkin.
ever tempted to dress up for Halloween, or celebrate Halloween, or beg people for food. Like, you live in the land of milk and honey. They thought that was America. Nope. Apparently, that's Australia and Singapore.
Well, it's anywhere where you don't have to beg for food one day a year, dressed up as something. Like, that all seems a bit weird. It's not very sustainable either. Do you get enough food to last you the year? I don't think so.
Well,
there's a flaw
that's why
in
you
this
go
plan.
to the big houses with the big candy bars.
Exactly.
You gotta go to the good houses for that.
Full
It'll last
bars.
longer.
Full bars. That's Louise Belcher in Bob's Burgers. That's her whole thing. It's like, full
Get the full bars.
Yeah, that's what she wants. And she thinks if you're that crazy to offer it, then she's entitled to take it.
There you go.
Sounds all right to me.
Go get yourself a full bar somewhere.
Okay.
And yeah. All right.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. And is that blasphemous to say to you because you don't celebrate it? Happy autumnal land of one season.
This would be a really good topic for next time. Just keep this under your hat, because I'd really love to talk about the fact that Merry Christmas really doesn't have anything to do with Christianity. The number of people that I know
merry.
that we people hate it, don't they? Oh God, Christmas is coming! Help me! I'm not ready. Why celebrate something that causes people so much drama? So I think yeah, I think if you're talking about terms that can't be used, I think we need to look at Christmas as one that completely, just means, in Australia, for a lot of people, just means family getting together. Half of them, if you actually ask them, what are you celebrating? And you'd say, the birth, and they'd say, whose birth? They just wouldn't know. People wouldn't care.
It's baby's first Christmas.
And that's exactly. So I think you can say Happy Halloween to anybody. You can say anything to anybody, really, if it's meant with the best of intentions. Probably come to my hobo boxing match is probably not something you'd want to say to most people. But again,
Boxing Day means something totally different in my world.
It means something very different. But I haven't been to Jersey that much. I haven't spent that much time there. So look, I really wouldn't know. Maybe if I got to know some of the locals a bit better, I'd probably learn a new vocabulary that I would use.
Well, until then, and the next time we talk, we're going to talk about hair products. I don't know why.
That's right.
And I don't remember why, but you want to talk hair products, and I had a whole box of hair products waiting, but it's Halloween over here. So and I got fully,
And who's going to see your hair underneath the mask?
Seriously.
Exactly. It's not a priority.
All right.
We will deal with it after you've had your wonderful.
After I get my free candy.
Boo. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Enjoy your Three Musketeers bar.
Why, thank you, my friend. And we will talk to you soon, right?
Of course. Yeah.
All right. We'll try to do this again next week. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.